Hi guys, I'm just going to take you through my watch cleaning machine. This is a recently purchased cleaning machine. It's an old machine, it's older than me, 1958 I believe this is from. This is a National Model 1 from Lanzetters of Manchester, which I am told was the very first design of its type, and you'll recognise the general layout because it's been very much copied and used by pretty much everybody. So exactly the same principle as any watch machine. This is just a much older one, and obviously doesn't have your all singing, all dancing automatic sort of dip, rinse and all that business. Everything has to be done manually. You've got 3 cleaning jars. The clean, which isn't in place at the moment because obviously the basket's in the way. You've got rinse 1, rinse 2. Excuse the tape on that cap there, that cap's cracked, which is why it's taped at the top. And then here in this metal one, you see this is a solid metal jar-shaped container with a ceramic and wire and mica heating element at the bottom there, which is on a separate switch down here. The switch for the motor is here, and then the speed controller for the motor is here. The more you turn it, the faster that will spin. The watch parts basket sits down here, and I'll scoot in close and give you a look at that. So here you see the basket, and that is clipped onto this motor shaft here, which has got an impeller blade. This rotates in a clockwise direction, which sucks down the cleaning fluid, creating a vortex, forcing it down through the basket and cleaning the parts. It's locked and unlocked by spring pressure and is quite stiff. So you have to hold the shaft, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do because you've got these blades here as well, which obviously help to disturb the flow of the cleaner and agitate it better. You've got springs under here, and then the basket itself, let me just check that we're still in frame here. Yes, we are. Let me focus on that for you. The basket itself has a mesh lid. It has an internal basket with indentations which parts can fit into, as you can see there. Underneath there it's just an empty basket, and I have actually fitted a second mesh screen to separate it so I can place parts in the bottom, and then inside there it has some smaller baskets, the likes of which you will have seen elsewhere on watch related videos, I have no doubt. There's a mainspring trying to escape, so I'm just going to wiggle that fella back down in there and pop this back on before I lose any parts. This is currently loaded up with the rotary dress watch that is my friend's dad's that I'm doing a service for, and then you've got this, which is a separate ring, which is your locking ring. Obviously you need to make sure that this lid is on so the parts don't fly out during the washing process, and to refit it, it needs to be pushed up and turned whilst holding the shaft until it clicks and locks into place on each of these 3 lugs, as you can see there, and that's quite firm. So that's the cleaning basket. I'll just give you a close-up on the heating element. And down inside here in this well, you can see what you have is a ceramic disc with channels in it, much like you would have in an old-fashioned gas fire with your ceramic tiles. It has a wire coil heating element that loops around there, which when you switch that on will heat up. I don't know if you'll actually be able to see that glow. I don't know if that will show, to be honest, but that's getting hot already, but I'm going to switch that off for now. The wire coil heats up, and then above it is a sheet of mica. I'm not going to touch that too much because it will break. It looks like plastic, but that's a sheet of mica. And then of course you have the metal chimney or jar, which simply slots into place. As you can see, that needs a good clean. I've not yet given the machine a good clean. Externally, I mean, I've cleaned the basket and all the important parts and inside the jars, but the rest of the machine needs a good clean over. To begin the process, we lower the cleaning basket by means of undoing the clamp on the upright. We lower the entire basket into the cleaning solution until it seats down and forms a seal on the jar, much as the lid would do so. Tighten up the clamp, and the vanes of the impeller will be about a centimetre underneath the liquid there, and then we switch that on and start to turn the dial to get this rotating. It can sometimes take a minute or two to start spinning, but once it does, it goes quite nicely. And then we turn this up to a speed where it's creating a nice vortex, sucking liquid down and agitating everything inside the basket with the cleaning solution, but not so quickly that it's splashing liquid up all over the sides and causing the solution to foam. So I'm going to turn that down just a little. So I think we'll go with that about there. And then we'll leave this running for 12 to 15 minutes. So this has now been about 14 minutes. So cut the motor, raise up the basket until it's clear of the fluid, like so. Tighten that back up and then switch that back on. And this allows excess fluid to spin off. Once you're sure the bulk of the fluid has spun off there, remove the cap for the first rinse, rinse number 1, and swing this over, and then as before lower the whole assembly into the jar, making sure it seals down tight. Tighten that down and replace the cap for the wash, and then we do exactly the same again. Motor on, start the basket spinning and turn it up to a speed. The same sort of quantity of fluids are in all of these jars, and then turn it up to a speed sort of as per the wash cycle, allowing it to create a vortex. We do this for another 12 to 15 minutes and then repeat the process with wash number 3. Apologies, that should have been jar number 3 as in rinse number 2. So as before, we stop this, raise the basket until it's above the level of the fluid, the rinse, just above, but not sticking it out of the jar for obvious reasons. Tighten that up, motor back on, and then spin that basket to spin and drain the excess, and then it goes into jar number 3, which is rinse number 2. At this point, when I put it into jar number 3, I switch on the heater at the switch while it goes through its cycle in jar number 3 in the second rinse, and as soon as it's completed that cycle in the second rinse, or just as it's completing it, I will switch off the heater and we'll transfer it to the heated jar. And for the final step, same principle as before. You spin off the second rinse until you've got as much as that off as possible. Swing it around to the heated chamber, which I've now switched off, which I switch off at the end as the second one is coming to an end. That's nice and warm now. I don't close this all the way down. I leave about, so much gap, like so, and then switch the motor back on and set that to spin at a reasonable pace, a little bit less than it was spinning for the wash, and then I'll leave that for about 5 minutes.